The new Mantis X10 firearms performance system has all the goodness of the original, plus holster draw analysis and recoil analysis. It's a fantastic upgrade and I recommend it highly.
Hi guys, welcome to Ask. This is Stephanie and I'm here with Brian. I am super excited because I have been sort of traveling the country unexpectedly the last couple of weeks, and I have been able to do videos with Neil, I've been able to do videos with John, and now I get to do videos with Brian, and I have no idea if they'll post as closely as I have been able to do them, but it's been nice to connect with everybody on the team and share some of this, so I'm excited about this. We just got done helping Brian's wife, who organizes an amazing event in Dahlonega, Georgia, called The Mingle, which is an invitation-only event for women in the firearms industry. And that is a really wide range of skills and a wide range of what that means. They can be in the industry in any capacity. So we had instructors, we had shooters, and then we had people that really were very new to that aspect of it. And we did some networking, we did some training, and it was fantastic. I can't wait to do it again next year. But Brian and I were talking, one thing that we noticed, and I noticed it in particular because it's something Brian helped me with. I consider Brian has had a huge impact on my training and my coaching, even though we've really only worked together in person a few times. But he's just been so insightful and impactful to me that I consider him my shooting coach. And an honor. One thing he has really helped me with is the mental aspects of practice and shooting and performance. And I've worked really hard on it, and I was able to see kind of where I came from this weekend and some of the other women that haven't had that pointed out yet. There was a lot of discouragement, a lot of negativity, and I find that has a profound impact on performance and practice and so many other things. So I wanted you to take a minute to talk about that with me and why it's so important.
So just like a computer, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out.
Right.
You know, and we always say, hey, don't shake your head, don't be negative. But we don't really talk about the problem with it.
Right.
It's not only that you're storing negative memories in a different part of your brain, like the amygdala. That's where it's stored. So it's a memory that's hard to eradicate. So it becomes an operating system. So we got to get rid of that. But the other thing is you're staying in a verbal loop of talking to yourself. And words are very poor choices, as we all know. It's hard to communicate well. I like to consider myself a wordsmith, and I like to use a lot of words. And basically what I found out is when I do that, sometimes people have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right.
So it's not a wordsmith at that point. So we have to speak simply. But since it's you, what's the simplest way for you to speak? Well, if picture's worth 1,000 words, then an image is worth 1,000 pictures. And if you can visualize exactly what you want, it's worth 1,000 movies. Because it's your personal experience, and then you're going to simply be able to confirm proper technique or correct improper technique. And that's how simple it's got to be. Notice there's no negative in that. If you're a USPSA Grandmaster, it means you shoot everything at 95%. So that's 5 mistakes out of every 100 is acceptable at that level. You know, so that's something to think about. Even the greatest shooters in the world are accepting a 5% error mark. And what do? Do they hang their head? Do they scold themselves? They just simply correct what happened. The best coaches in the world get you to believe in yourself. They don't break you. They believe in you, and they get you to realize that self-doubt and fear just inhibits the ability to shoot well. Which is very interesting, you know?
Yeah, it really is. So all of we'd see it over and over again this weekend. We'd see someone shoot and perform whatever they thought was not good, was not accurate enough, was not fast enough, was whatever. And just immediately the head shaking and the eye sock, and you could see their faces screw up in disappointment. And the inability that I saw to be accepting of any mistakes,
right?
Which is really difficult if you're trying to climb to another level, either accuracy-wise, speed-wise, trying something new. I had to step up in front of the line and try something new, which meant a lot of mistakes and a lot of things going in places that they didn't need to go, and we worked through correcting that. Why did that happen? I didn't see the sights. I pulled the trigger without seeing what I needed to see, but that's because we've worked a lot at it. And so yeah, it was really interesting for me to see kind of where I came from maybe a year ago, where I would have been that, I missed the bullseye, I suck. I need to be embarrassed about that. I need to be ashamed. I need to be hard on myself, and I need to fix that. And really getting beyond that, I think has had a huge impact on me moving kind of to the next level in my skill. So it's something I really wanted to be a message to other people to see, that I feel like it's really important and really impactful.
Well, you've got to be resilient. You know, it's not just not quitting, it's being resilient. And that means you bend a little bit under pressure. And if we look at these targets, every one of them speaks to us differently. You know, this is a very big acceptable range, and this is a very precise target, and then this is a rectangle, and that's a smaller circle. So they're telling us what is allowable. I accept this level of accuracy, but for you perfectionists, talking to my tribe, if it's not here and I can't measure it equidistant from each side, it's not a perfect shot.
Right.
But that's not really how life works.
Right.
So somewhere in this would be great. Now, if I'm working on a bullseye, I want to get as close as I can, but I'm going to realize that human beings simply aren't able to shoot X ring, X ring, X ring, X ring.
Right.
And I've got to accept that. Now, for you speed people, the opposite is the problem. You don't care as much about the results. You just want to do it. As soon as you can do it, and you'll feel that great exhilaration of just getting it done. And then if somebody asks you to see a little bit more, all you hear is slow down. But you can see faster. That's a hard thing to think about. But that means you have to be more involved. And we talked about this in flow state. Human beings suck at measuring time.
Right.
You know,
Right.
That's why I use a timer. It can be both fast and slow. We call it tachypsychia. You know, there's a word for it. And that means that you can't really do it. And the more immersed you are in your training, the slower it'll feel.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Some of my quickest draws when I've looked down at the timer, I've been absolutely shocked at the time because I felt like they were as slow as molasses. There was just, so okay, so it's one thing to say don't do that. Don't shake your head, don't be negative, get beyond that. But how do you do that? I guess I feel like I need some action. How do I change that?
Yeah, I think that's what I do with people is I want them to visualize exactly what they want to happen. The problem with the language is don't do that as you visualize whatever you don't want to do.
Right.
So if you say don't miss the target, then your mind doesn't know what to do. It just does something and tries not to miss the target while it might do something else. But if I visualize exactly what I want to see, that's my first step.
Okay.
Now the next step is tension. How do we deal with tension? We exhale.
Right.
Try to be tense and exhale at the same time. It's a really weird exercise. It doesn't work. So I get you on the line, visualize, now exhale. Okay. Once you exhale, we'll say clear your mind, but it never really clears.
Right.
Just don't get caught in a rabbit hole. I sing a song to myself. I got this from my good friend Scott Jelinski, but I sing Metallica. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire while I'm waiting for the buzzer.
Right.
Because it keeps me occupied. That may work for you, may not. And then all we have to do is execute. Once we execute, the next step is to replay what just happened. That's why we're following through. Did I see everything I needed to see?
Right.
And that's where people skip and they start criticizing. So the follow-through process is actually the replay process. Am I done? Do I need to do something else? And then you simply go back to the top of the list. If you're done shooting, you put your gun up. If you're not, you go back to, we're going to visualize, exhale, and execute again.
Okay. So now you're not saying take the emotion out of it. Just perform and then analyze. What do you do with all of that?
So somewhere in our culture, emotion became bad.
Right.
You know, and we think that high-level performers are glacial pools of ice that feel nothing. And that's not the truth. I trained professional fighters and I fought myself. You are a vast pit of swirling emotions at all times when you perform. Emotion calls your nervous system to action.
Okay.
So when you feel that tension, what it's doing is waking you up to perform better.
It's super interesting because I have been, and I told you this last night, I have been fighting that, feeling like that emotional roller coaster was going to make me perform poorly, was going to make me make mistakes. I needed to just disconnect from the emotional piece of it. And then we kind of talked about, okay, so if you just spent all this time telling your brain what you're about to do doesn't matter, very often that's reflected in the target, that it doesn't matter, it's not important, just do it. And that's why I was finding a really vast difference between just my work and practice and then when I was under a stressful performance constraint, my target really reflected really below what I was capable of doing, and I really couldn't figure that out because I was working so hard to get rid of all of that emotion and just perform. So you're not saying that at all. You're saying feel that and not fight it.
I think the biggest thing with this is you just told yourself not to care.
I think so, like almost disconnecting it, like the emotion was a bad thing, and so get rid of it, disconnect, and just perform.
And that's not who you are.
Okay, that's correct. Yes.
That's not how you live anyway. So you're creating an operating system that's completely different than what you would be able to manage. And so emotions have to be surfed. You feel it in a discussion. If somebody says something you don't like, you either tense up or you get mad or you get distant.
Right.
That's distancing. But that doesn't help you have a better discussion. What you have to basically do with yourself is kind of open up and feel what's going on. So when you feel that, and I said this, man, I would stop competing the first time I don't feel emotion, because I don't care anymore. I'm not involved anymore.
Right.
And for me, the juice is the squeeze. I want to get out there, to quote Heat for all of you movie fans, and get after that and enjoy that feeling of being utterly alive.
Just alive.
Connected to now. Every fiber of my being, my nervous system, my processing center, my breath, everything is connected to what I'm about to do, and I'm going to be totally involved, and it does matter. So I visualize exactly what I want to happen. If that doesn't happen, I make a correction.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
That's really where I'm going to focus for the next couple of months, is trying to find that way to feel that and connect with that without making me do crazy stuff and be able to jump.
Crazy stuff.
Right. Well, that's the fear. It feels crazy.
Yeah.
So it's going to translate crazy. I'm going to make dumb mistakes because I'm going to be fumbling, or I'm going to be, I'm so caught up in emotion I'm not going to be thinking or performing properly, is the fear.
But you need to find where the limits are, too, of mistakes. So if you do make what you consider a dumb mistake, the only reason it's dumb is that there's no replay process to correct it.
Okay.
Instead of saying I won't, people that live in the past say I'll never do that again, which all you're visualizing is what you did, so you'll do it again.
Right.
People who live in the future is don't screw this up. That's how they talk to themselves.
Right.
But if you're really engaged in it now and you make a mistake and it's almost laughable.
Right.
You're like, wow, all right, that was too much.
Right.
So now I need to get back, because learning is a pendulum. Westerners think they learn in a straight line and it just continues to ascend. And it's like aiming on the mana system. It looks much more like this. That's how we improve. So yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And I'm going to address this real quick, but there's a thing called regression to the mean in statistics.
Okay.
So coaches believe this. If you perform poorly and I yell at you, and then the next one you go back to your average, which is regression to the mean, then I've improved you.
Wow. Okay.
But if you perform really well and I say you did a good job, and then you go back to your average, it looks like you performed poorly. So coaches learn not to praise and only to criticize. But it's highly likely that you're going to have highs and lows. And what we want to fix in our mind is when you did something correctly, store that forever. When you did something incorrectly, simply fix that forever.
Right.
As much as you can.
Kind of analyze why that happened, why the shot went where it did, or...
Visualize what you want to happen, though. Just say, my first question to everybody is, what'd you see? And you know what the answer is a lot of times? I didn't see anything.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens in shooting, and it could be because you blinked your eyes, but it could also be you were thinking about something else.
Yeah.
It's the distracted driver syndrome. I'm thinking about everything I have to do, and I'm not sure how I got home.
Right.
And that's not shooting. We know in shooting we've got to quiet the eye on the target and allow it to settle so the mind can see what it needs to see. And if you're darting around and looking for information, you're accessing that program, it doesn't work. If you shoot in an acceptable level of accuracy within the time, say yes. Don't say, it was really quick, but I wasn't as accurate as I wanted to be.
Right.
You can't do that. So we talked about speed mode, accuracy mode, and performance mode. Train speed for speed, train accuracy for accuracy, and when you get into performance mode, which is this, the only thing that matters is calling your shots, staying in the process. However you want to say it. Words are weird that way, but I like process-driven shooting because you're following a cycle, and the cycle continually operates until the event's over, instead of a stop, start, stop, start.
Well, I think that's really great information.
Yeah.
I know it's going to help me, and I hope that other people will find that helpful. And I know you said you had some stuff we could do on the SIRT pistol. I think we maybe got long on this one with the discussion. So let's break and let's do a second one where you can show me a little bit more how we can do that with a gun, actually.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. It's always a pleasure. And this is probably the biggest area where you can get better at. It's a simple thing, and it's incredibly hard at the same time. And it requires you to do it on a daily basis. But remember, discipline forms the habit for your future success.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.